What is going on, guys? It's Reflex here, and in the latest issue of Famitsu, Final Fantasy VII was actually a part of it, and they interviewed Tetsuya Nomura, where she shares a lot of various details about the game. So first off, I want to shout out, I hope I pronounced this right, but Gematsu for the translation of the article, and he actually gives a lot, Nomura revealed a lot of information about the game, some that I guarantee fans are either going to be happy or mad about. I mean, you shouldn't be mad about this, which I'll get this one out of the way right now. Well, I kind of want to go in order. I'm going to go in order. I'm just going to save the goodness for it's in 2 bullet points, so we'll just get to it. But first off, the Watchmen of Fate, the black mist in the trailer, which I'm glad we got confirmation of this a little bit. But I guess they are mysterious beings that appear before the party wherever they go. I hope that even those who have played the original game will enjoy the new elements. Now, I'm really happy that they're actually implementing new stuff in the game, because there's another point that actually isn't in this one, but they said that they're going to be adding so much more stuff into the game that's like apart from the main story. That is the whole reason why it's, split into, I think it's probably going to be anywhere from 3 to 4 separate parts, which is, as a Final Fantasy fan, it's kind of weird. Like, normally we're used to the main game, and obviously the main game will have like 2 discs sometimes, which it hasn't been that way in a long time, but like, it's happened before. I mean, I think it's happened with, didn't Final Fantasy 13 have that? Or was that, I don't know, I feel like it had that, but still, this is a little bit different because we might have to wait, obviously, probably 2 to 3 years for the next part, and then maybe a year in between those parts, so it's going to be odd to not just get the full game right off gate, but I understand it because they did say that each part will be like a standalone Final Fantasy game, so if you guys were kind of worried that this episodic version of release was going to just feel weird, don't worry, it's gonna all feel like its own game. So it's gonna be like, think of how Final Fantasy 13 and all those games do, where it's like Final Fantasy 13, Final Fantasy 13-2, Final Fantasy Lightning Returns, like all of that. It's gonna be like that, but just Final Fantasy 7 form, But still, it's cool that we got a confirmation on what the Black Mist is called, and the Watchmen of Fate actually sounds pretty cool. But then next up, there are quite a bit of dialogue options. We are making it so that the dialogue changes depending on your response. So the sheer volume of dialogue has increased, which that's pretty cool. And that just, obviously, they're probably going to be a lot of voice acting for each, different dialogue option, which just goes to show how much effort they're putting into this game, which I find cool. And I wonder if the dialogue options, like, what you choose will actually determine and change certain events in the future, or will it all stay the same? That's just what I'm wondering, because I think it'll be a little added effect to it. Maybe they're actually adding different dialogue options instead of just straightforward, just what we already know. But then next up, the one that I know people are going to be kind of excited for, or you might be dreading it, but the Honeybee Inn cross-dressing event is still in. We've made it more modern. If we made the facility like we did in the original game, the physical unease would be staggering, so that was no good. Now, I was one that's like, if you're gonna, have the original have it, you might as well put it in the, this remake, because it'll feel, I don't know, weird without it, as weird as that sounds. And I mean, I think there'll be some comedic value towards it, to be quite honest. Just one, seeing how Cloud will look and exactly what they mean by modernize, because I don't exactly understand what they mean by it, because they could mean quite a few different things, but still, I'm glad they kept it in the game. I honestly am. But then Nomura said there are quite a few additions to the scenario. While the main story itself hasn't changed, there are countless numbers of new events, otherwise we wouldn't have 2 Blu-ray discs. Now, that right there kind of pretty much says what I said earlier, that there's going to be a lot more stuff that even original fans of Final Fantasy VII may not have known about or even seen. So pretty much, we're going to get a whole bunch of brand new content no matter what in this game, and that's the part that I'm really excited about, because not only do we get the main story that we know and love, but then there's going to be probably tons of side quests and everything, obviously, but then tons of maybe events that might even, like, obviously the main story won't be changed, but there might be stuff to help the story, kind of flesh out a little bit more. Because that's the good thing about them doing a remake, is the fact that the story is already there. All they got to do now is just work around it, and help flesh it out even more and make people, because, obviously when you go back to play the original, there's probably some story elements that people might say, well, this was kind of not done right, or this was stupid. They got a chance to fix whatever it is that, probably feedback that they got in the last, how many years since the game's been out? I know it's been out for a long time, but there's some stuff that they can just make a lot better probably, which is cool. It honestly is cool. That's why I'm so excited for the game. But then next, Aerith and Tifa are double heroines. One has a Western style look and the other an Eastern style look. And I just think that's cool because, I mean, it's awesome that we're going to see both thrive in this story. You know, I mean, there was a lot of like speculation on, you know, the shippers pretty much in every single game. You know, in Kingdom Hearts, for instance, you got, what is it, Soriku or something like that, or Sokai. You know, there's people, those shippers, man, they go at each other's throats trying to just say, oh no, this would work and this would work. Well, you know, obviously that whole narrative of, no, Aerith needs to be with Cloud, no, Tifa needs to be with Cloud, and it's just like, well, hopefully in this one, neither will get with, you know, it's just like, I feel like it just, you know, let them both shine. I think that's going to be cool. And then this talks about Tifa's design, which, I mean, I already said when watching the trailer, which I know I didn't upload my reaction to the trailer. That wasn't on purpose. It's just I was busy watching the NBA Finals, and I was the same time as a Square Enix presentation, so obviously I wasn't going to be able to just pause my game that I'm trying to watch at the same time. But I did see it live, and I was hyped because everyone was hyped about Tifa, and I knew that the design that they choose was either going to be heavily praised or heavily just complained about. And surprisingly, everyone seemed to be happy. I didn't really see much complaints on my timeline. It could have been different for others, but for mine personally, it went pretty well. But he talks more about the design factors, saying we wanted Tifa to have abs, so she has an athletic body type. The ethics department at Square Enix also told us that we had to tighten her chest, that to not get unnatural during all the intense action. You know, you can get some, what is it, Dead or Alive, that fighting game. Yeah, you can get those jiggle physics like in there, but no. And then he says from there we got the black underwear and fitted tank top. So you can tell they really had a lot of thoughts in mind, trying to keep everything true to how people wanted to see Tifa, as well as not making it so fan servicey. Because obviously, like, they don't want it to be Cindy-esque in Final Fantasy 15, where there's just so much fan servicey look to her that, you know, if they included jiggle physics like to an extremely like high degree, some people would be happy, but every like probably normal fan would probably be like, okay, this is kind of ridiculous. So I'm kind of glad they took time to make that perfect and looked at her design and tried to make sure everything was as good as it possibly could be. Because like I said, Tifa was like the most important character, surprisingly, but she's the most important character in Final Fantasy VII just for the reason that, like I said, you'll either complain or love her. Next up, with emphasis on immersion and exhilaration, you can fight without stress through the use of shortcuts. When you open command menu, time slows down and you can fight like a command battle. I put extra words in there, but you get what I mean, because we actually seen that in the trailer. When you open up the command menu, time kind of looks like bullet time in Max Payne, or was it Deadeye and Red Dead? So I'm wondering, when you open up the command menu, time still moves, but extremely slowly. So my question is, how slow does it go? Like, how long do you actually have before you get hit? That's kind of what I want to see exactly, because this, I mean, it doesn't exactly, because they have that, what is it? The ATB meter, that's what I'm going to call it. I forget exactly what each letter stands for, but it was what they introduced in Final Fantasy 13, and it was a part that I liked. So I'm glad they're kind of going to a mesh of Final Fantasy 15's combat mixed with the strategic value of Final Fantasy 13 and meshing that together. So, I mean, personally, it also has those, you know, those shortcuts from Kingdom Hearts. So there's a lot of stuff that really looks cool in my eyes, and I'm just wondering exactly how much strategic value is going to be in this game. Because even though you see that ATB meter, it doesn't mean that it's going to be heavily utilized as much as they're saying, because, I mean, they were also saying the same thing about Final Fantasy 15, how the combat was it's gonna make you feel like you're doing something, but it was gonna be strategic at the same time. But then when the game comes out, at least for me personally, it felt like every hit was doing things, but I could just press the button all day, and it would just pretty much win me the game. Because if you had enough potions in Final Fantasy 15, you could literally beat every single boss possible. And if you don't believe me, trust me, I've beaten every single dungeon. Even the final dungeon where you couldn't use items and everything, like, it's just, you pretty much, you can strategize when not to attack, but other than that, you can just beat everything if you got items. The only hard part was that dungeon. That was the only strategy you needed, but other than that, I'm hoping that Final Fantasy VII Remake does this correctly to where things just feel not too easy and just have a little bit of strategy to it. Because personally, that's what I love in all Final Fantasies, is the strategic value to it. Because I remember, I think it was Final Fantasy 13, I believe. It was when you fought the priest. I don't know exactly what it's called. I think it was the Falsi, like the main one. And I remember I was struggling on it earlier, didn't level up enough, and it was at the point where I didn't save, so I had to figure out how to beat him, and I had to just keep going and keep trying, because if I just lost and didn't want to continue, then I would have had to restart from a far time. So it was just that matter of figuring out attacks, figuring out when to do stuff, and then just trying to execute it properly. So that's why I'm excited about this, because they're bringing some slight stuff from that back, but I'm not entirely sure how it will go. But we got 3 more that we'll knock out real quick. Each playable character has different enemy affinities. An item is required for MP recovery, which is the norm. And then for sake of level design, we're preparing a few new enemies where necessary. So, I mean, I feel like that last point doesn't really, like, we kind of expected that, because, I mean, when they say new enemies, I wonder what they mean, like, new enemy placements or brand new enemies to Final Fantasy VII, because that's the part that I'm not understanding, because obviously you'll have new enemies for, you know, the remake from, like, us fans, like the original fans, because you can't, it was random encounters back in the day, kind of, so is it gonna, I don't know, it's gonna be weird. Like, that's the thing about this game, is that it changed a lot. Final Fantasy 13 had those random encounters still, and then they went away from it in Final Fantasy 15. So now, are we going back to random encounters where your screen will, you know, how it used to, where your screen would just either get cut in half, fade to black, and battle starts? Or are we just gonna start a battle, cutscene, you know, and then start the battle there? Is the glass gonna shatter? Like, there's so many things I'm wondering how the transition are, because in the trailers, we've only seen cutscenes leading to battles, or then just battle gameplay in general, but I have not seen the transition into the fights. Like, I don't know how the encounters will be. I'm hoping that they're like Final Fantasy 15, not where you can skip them right away, but just if you're in their sight, they'll want to fight you, and there's no transition into a battle. Like, I want it to be seamless and flawless, where I can just fight if I want to, run away if I don't want to fight, you know, stuff like that, because I think that'd be cool. But let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think of this information, and if you guys did enjoy this video, leave a like, subscribe, and you guys know the drill. I will see you guys later.